Hey, it's Charlie at Charlie's Flybox, and today we're going to talk about Zonker strips. And you might think Zonker strips are limited to only rabbit, but oh no, friend, I've got news for you. They are not. Of course, rabbit strips, or Zonker strips, as they became known after Dan Byford invented the Zonker, um, are rabbit hide that is cut specifically from head to tail. So the fur on these is aligned, kind of sloping back one direction. And these are good for wings on flies like a zonker or a bunny leech. You can use this for the tail. You can also take this and wrap it around a hook where it will stand up and create a rabbit fur body. One of the downsides to zonker strips is that big, thick leather strip attached to it soaks up a lot of water and gets heavy when you cast it. So you have to be a little, I would say cautious is the word, about getting too much rabbit on your fly. It tends to make it heavy unless you're going to Alaska where you're fishing a big rod. A lot of flies that are tied entirely of rabbit with a lot of hide attached get pretty heavy to cast. And that is sort of across the board on any of the rabbit strips. But a standard zonker strip is cut from head to tail.
How would you get that material on the hook without the leather?
You could, I'm glad you asked. You could, and I do, because I don't like rabbit strips because of that heavy leather. Max knew this going in, which is what prompted him to ask that question. What I would do is take some of this. Well, in the case of a zonker, you have to leave the hide attached.
Yes.
In the case of a rabbit for wing.
Yes.
But if you were going to wrap this around a hook to circumvent the leather issue, I would take some of this and cut it off this hide, just like that, and put it in a dubbing loop so that you created a core but didn't have the leather attached. And that will make the fly literally weigh half as much. So there's ways around that. One of the nice things with a strip like this, it is very conveniently packaged to be able to cut fur off of it. And you can kind of pick through the pack, from head to tail. There's a variety of different textures and lengths to the fur as well. So this does make it convenient to come in and just cut a little tuft out and put that into a dubbing loop. As opposed to, so that's a standard zonker strip, as opposed to a crosscut strip, which we get asked about all the time. What a crosscut strip does is, let me get this aligned here so I can show you. These are cut shoulder to shoulder, so side to side. So when you tie this in, they're going to be directional, and you want it to slope back. So that fur, rather than stand straight up, will slope back like so, and create a nice little leechy body. Now, one of the things that sometimes you got to do this. One of the things I look for in rabbit strips for this is something with a thin piece of hide. There are different, just these two packages here. This peach color's got pretty thick hide on it. This crosscut stuff, this pack probably came closer up to the shoulders. It's a little bit thinner hide. So there's some degree of high grade. Pick through. Don't just grab the first one off the peg. But crosscut is for wrapping, and regular standard strips are for either putting in a dubbing loop or using as a rabbit strip wing. That is the two options there. Now, that is not the only options you've got on rabbit strips, though. They come in micro rabbit strips, which are thinner cut. I think these are 1/8 inch wide, I think is what a standard zonker strip is. I think that's right. Micro rabbit strips are about half that width. I don't know. That measurement may not be exact. These are about half as wide as those are.
And a key point, the hair is the same length.
The hair is the same length, same rabbit, just cut in thinner strips.
Thinner.
So less hide attached to it, a little more swimmy in the water, but the fur is the same length for sure. One of the things that you can't argue with a rabbit strip is these do swim really nicely in the water. The water weight in that leather makes this swing around a lot. Flies like a Sculpzilla or a Kiwi muddler or a regular old zonker. They swim awfully nice. This is very lively stuff in the water, and this is one of the, one of the materials I think that really did. We've been talking about the streamer series. Really did change streamer tying as this material became more popular. Lots of options on that. That thinner stuff for smaller size flies also.
Fulling mill also makes that.
I should mention that. So
micro.
The fulling mill micro rabbit strips come. So one of the catches with all these rabbit strips is when you take them out of the pack, they're all curly. When you tie it to the fly and you get it wet, it's going to straighten out. But the tying process is so much nicer when they're nice and straight. These are micro strips from Fulling Mill, and they come on a card, like a pack of silly leg, or not silly legs, but super floss or materials like that. So they're long. It says these are 2 millimeter wide strips on the back of this package, which
How English of them.
I would say is probably accurate, but very straight, very clean. I will say this fur seems a little shorter than the fur on that other package.
Yeah.
Just shorter, finer stuff, a little more squirrel-escent. How do you like that?
Wow.
Squirrel-escent. Really nice, easy to work with. I've got a video coming up showing you a double bunny tied with this stuff that is actually usable. Won't hurt your arm to cast, so stay tuned for that. They come in all sorts of barred colors. There's all got a billion colors of all of this. Magnum rabbit strips are twice as wide as standard rabbit strips, so the hide itself is much thicker. So you can get even more of that leather on the fly if you wanted, which I think is a huge advantage if you're really looking for that. For flies like a kiwi mother is a great example. You want something a wider strip. A Sculptzilla, this would work nicely on. I wouldn't use this on a whole lot of stuff besides getting up into pike flies.
Yes, for sure.
Pike flies, some saltwater flies. I'll use these for tails on a half and half, white ones for a tail on a half and half. Just a little bit more movement out of it, a little bit more fur to it, just a little more bulk. Appropriately sized for different size flies. So you got micro, regular, and magnum in the regular rabbit strips.
And crosscut.
Crosscut only comes in one width, which is standard width, but it goes shoulder to shoulder rather than head to tail. Did you get that? That was subtle. Polychrome rabbit strips, those are multicolored rabbit strips. They've got barring that is dyed on. So like this is olive with brown, brown tips with black bars on it. So you can get a couple different colors in there, a little variegation to the theme. You see this a lot on this kind of stuff on crawdad flies for the claws. You know, a lot of critters are just multi-toned, and that's what that would be best used for, I think. That's a nice pack right there.
Super cool use for those. Matt Winkler's Kamikaze Sculpin, he puts those in a dubbing loop for the head.
For the head.
And fuck, that fly looks really cool.
Yep. And again, you know, that's without loading yourself up with all that leather. It doesn't seem like that leather's that much when you wrap it around the hook.
You can feel it when you
tie
cast
some
it.
of them, but you can absolutely tell.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, I tied a ton of rabbit strip flies, and God, none of them cast very good, and I thought I was just bad at it. As it turns out, I've always been good at it. It was just the fly's fault.
There you go.
There you go. What else is there? This is a pack of extra select craft bunny, which you might be thinking is bunny, but it is not. This is synthetic. It's awfully close to bunny, but it does not have hide. It's got backing on it. So this is a synthetic version of the same kind of thing. Used in most of the same ways, doesn't get as heavy because it sheds water better.
Thick.
It is thick, yeah. And you can cut this. So this is a 1/4 inch wide anyway. You can cut this. You know, what I would do is take one end of this and clamp it in the jaws of your vise and stretch it tight and run a razor blade down the center. You can cut nice thin little strips out of it.
You are just full of these little
I have all kinds. See, that's why we do these videos.
Jesus.
I got all kinds of ideas. Things you've never thought of. And look how long that rabbit would be.
Joey's laughing at us over there.
Joey, keep to yourself.
That is long.
You've never seen a rabbit that long.
No.
This you could cut and put into a dubbing loop as well. Just soft synthetic rabbit fur.
I'm going to try those stillwater leashes. That would be nice to cast.
For a pike fly, this would be a great thing because you get just as big a fly without near all that leather and weight.
Look at that. Solving the problem that you brought up at the beginning.
I have all the answers.
Full circle.
It might just take me a minute to find them.
Look at that.
What else do we have here? Minks. Minks?
Minks.
I think it'd just be a mink. A single mink or a group of mink.
Mink.
I think it's just mink either way.
Minky.
Mink, we have people ask this all the time. I need some white squirrel. Well, there aren't any. If you want to tie a white leech, you need to use mink. And this is, the same thing, cut head to tail. People often ask us why there's not crosscut squirrel or crosscut mink. And the reason is because both those critters are about that wide from shoulder to shoulder. That's why they don't cut them that way. You'd end up with a package of these little bits and you'd be mad. So there's no such thing as crosscut unless you did it yourself. You'd have to go shoot your own squirrel, tan the hide, and cut it shoulder to shoulder.
And realize that there's not enough there to do it.
You just got 3-inch long pieces. So this is mink. It's got a little bit longer guard hair, very soft, much denser under fur than squirrel. It is not exactly the same as squirrel. It's sort of used as the white substitute for white squirrel, or a white fur substitute for squirrel.
A little longer, a little thicker.
Yeah, definitely longer and thicker. Which leads us to squirrel, which everybody likes, me included. Squirrel comes in little packages or in a whole hide. Highly recommend the whole hide because you can pick, some of the stuff on the outside edges is a little thinner, maybe a little lighter color. The stuff right down the center of the back is going to be denser fur with really good variegation on it. And, as you kind of go side to side and head to tail, differences in the thickness of the hide, but not near as thick or cut as wide as rabbit strips are. Scaling the fly down a bit. This doesn't scale up on large flies very well, but in reasonable size flies, I'd say size 8 and smaller. Even a 6, bar slump buster is tied with up to a size 4. And if you high grade through a whole hide, you definitely have some long stuff that you can use for those. That's the advantage of the whole hide. This swims just like rabbit fur does. It's just scaled down, just a little bit smaller. And it comes in standard widths in the packages, standard, and micro squirrel, which is half as wide again. So even thinner. Perfect for little leechy kind of things like that. You can put squirrel in a dubbing loop as well. You can pinch it off of there. That's what I do on my squirrel leech. One strip for the tail, one little pinch for the collar in a dubbing loop. Super simple, super easy. Comes in, all of this stuff comes in a billion colors. I don't even know how many colors rabbit strips we have. 100.
800,000.
800,000.
Something like that.
Different rabbit
Seriously,
strips.
so many.
There's a lot.
There's so many.
What else? Hey, over here.
Some obscure zonkers.
Yeah, some obscure zonkers. So, and just to not mislead you, this is fin raccoon, which is cut in a zonker strip. But this is in no way, shape, or form meant to be used on the hide. Can you imagine the zonker that you'd tie out of that thing? Actually, you could, think of like a double bunny tied out of that. It'd look pretty cool. It'd weigh 7 pounds.
I mean, for the Alaska stuff and the saltwater stuff, I mean,
that was going to waste. That's just too much.
Look at the amount of
that's just from where they cut it. But what this is really, it's like rabbit fur. It's just much longer.
Yeah.
And really, what this is meant to do is this is the delivery method. If you cut this critter from head to tail, you get, a variety of densities as you go from one end to the other. If they cut this in little patches, you might just get a patch all up toward the shoulder that's all the same. So you get more variety of texture and density and length out of a strip, which is why they sell it this way. The idea of this is that you come in and pull a little bunch out and cut it off and apply it to your fly for a wing or a belly or whatever it is you're going to do. Actually, I've tied clousers with this. I use this for the belly on a dirty hippie. Really useful stuff, but don't use it on the leather. And finally, one of my favorite materials these days is awesome possum zonkers. These come from Wapsi, and you can buy this at a patch or you can buy it on a strip. The strip is easier to work with. Longer hair, long light colored guard hairs with shorter dark colored guard hairs, so you got some variegation at the tips. This stuff is really shiny, makes a great collar on something like, say, a swim coach. Which is exactly what got me going on the swim coach, is some of this hair. It's not near as dense with the under fur is not near as dense as rabbit fur, so it doesn't build up bulk quite as much. It's a little bit stiffer, just different texture. And again, you work from the strip, you come in, cut a clump out, put it in your dubbing loop, spin that up, no hide involved, and you got a nice little stand-up collar without a whole lot of bulk or volume to it that's going to be hard to cast or that will slow your sink rate down. So different lengths, from squirrel to rabbit to, I'd say possum, then fin raccoon is probably the longest fur out of the bunch. But again, not necessarily are all of these used on the leather to tie the fly. So don't think, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you'll find out you probably shouldn't take a whole possum strip and tie a zonker or a wing onto a fly and then go try to cast it. These hides tend to be a little bit stiffer too. You can see that's a little bit more rigid, but really much easier to work from this than it is from a patch. And I think that might be everything I know about zonker strips. Crosscut, all kinds of different dyed colored barred stuff. Look for thin hide on all of it.
You can cut it off the hide.
You can cut it off the hide. You should, most of the time, cut it off the hide, I feel. I'm glad you wrapped Matt Winkler up on that, because that's a smart thing to do, and I'd have done it the same way. So
he's a smart guy?
He's a smart guy. He used to work here.
I kind of miss him.
Yeah, I do miss him.
I really do.
We do. He's just being polite, Matt. He just wants you to take him fishing. That's all I got for you, I think. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All
I
right,
don't
there
think
you
so.
go. If you have questions on rabbit strips,
Call Matt Winkler.
call Matt Winkler. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. I gave you everything I got. Hope you like that.